Hey, welcome back to the Level Up Business Podcast. I'm J.R. Lay, and joining me today is Colleen Bowler. And I had to double check the pronunciation on that because names are important. This is how we are seen, known, and heard, which is why we do what we do here at the Level Up Business. What is good for you, Colleen? It's great to share time with you today.
It is good to be here. Thank you.
What before we get into talking about questions, which is something and why you believe the human side wins, which is something that I've been thinking a lot about, particularly in the age of AI.
Oh,
What is going well for you to start off on a positive note, personally or professionally?
you know what? I was a new thing that I've decided for 2026. Normally, I have a word of the year, and I had decided my word of the year was joy. But I've added in, I was in my own workshop, and I added in a filter of the year. And I think all of us as entrepreneurs, we end up doing a bunch of things that may not be in our strength. And so my filter of the year before I take anything on is, does it engage? Does it energize? And does it empower? Both for me and my team and what we do best, but also for whoever our conversation or who we're creating value for. So that's my filter. That's my new thing that I'm doing for 2026. We'll tell you how it is at the end of the year.
Well, I would love to come back and revisit that because that's a great, for us, the word or the phrase of the year was alignment plus action equals total transformation.
Alignment
But
plus
plus
action
action
equals.
equals total transformation.
Okay. Yes.
And that has materialized this year because about 2.5 months ago, my other business was acquired. And so it has been a year of total transformation that has come from the alignment and the action that we have continued to have and also take. But the point of filters, that's a really interesting perspective. Have you ever done an action board by any chance?
For a long time, I did. I now have a blessing board. And
Ooh.
part of that is I've been very fortunate with my businesses to be at a very prosperous level. Not that there's not more, but I woke up one day and said, what's as purposeful as being a good mom, being a good wife, building this foundation, whatever. And so I've got it right. I keep looking over there.
Yeah.
It is really my purpose board and my grandkids, things people have sent me, thank you notes, pictures with my best friends, drawings from grandkids, drawings from people I just met on the plane. But that purpose board has been my thing now.
Why? I mean, the idea, because I've gone from a vision board to an action board.
An action board. I love that.
Because for me, we were talking about filters. That has become a filter, and I do this. My wife does it, and our 4 kids do it. It is a filter for all of us, and it's on our hallway, so we see it every single day. We walk past back and forth.
Oh,
And it's
lovely.
interesting because it serves as a visual filter of the things that we are to be aligned to. But your idea of the blessing board or the purpose, it reminds me of something that I've learned from Daniel White. He shared with me something that I wake up every day and I ask God, how can I serve? Who can I serve?
Yes.
There's something else here. It's who can I bless?
Yes.
That's like a
Yeah.
third question
Yeah.
here.
And I
So
didn't know you
love,
know him. He's wonderful. He's
he
wonderful.
is he is such a good person doing great things. He's been a guest on the podcast a couple of times. We're
Yeah.
working on a collaboration together. And to your point of purpose, one of the things that I wanted to with you is, what do you mean by the human side wins? I know you do a lot of work with financial advisors, but I think those 3 words, human side wins, are applicable for anyone listening to this podcast today. What do you mean by that? The human side wins.
So I was a financial advisor. I sold my firm in 2020 and have started other ones. But part of what happens is the financial side tends to run the human side. And it really, when you flip that, when I started in the industry, I made $14,000 my first year, qualified for earned income credit. Um, Second year, not much better. But what I realized was I could collaborate with really incredible advisors and wrap
Hmm.
them around my clients so that I could really focus on what I had learned to do really well was asking JR about his future and where he wanted to go or where they want to go, and help create the plan around their future. But I couldn't do that unless I asked really good questions on the human side and listened to that. Most financial advisors ask great questions on the financial side, right? And making sure everything's technically sound and all that. And what I realized, what I did really well is ask things and ask questions on the human side. I think any of us, any entrepreneur that has a level of success, we believe when we walk in the room, we know what that client needs, no matter what industry we're in. But if we
Yeah.
can take a step back and ask questions like a child, right? It's that curiosity piece that always brings something else to the table, and always finding out where they are now, but the energy is in their future. Where do they want to go? And is this a future that you want to be a part of, or do you need to step left? And as entrepreneurs, we hate to step left, but it is also a very good idea to step left when it's not a right fit.
Well, that really connects. That really resonates. I mean, the whole point of Level Up Business is to help amplify the voices of visionary entrepreneurs so that they're seen, known, and heard by those who need their help the most. It is about their unique wisdom, which is two parts: their unique perspective and their unique method. And so
Yeah.
we're getting into a little bit of your unique perspective here, but the unique method, and it because something actually connects back to another conversation that I had with Julia Waller about
Another
unique.
wonderful person.
Yes, not unique ability.
Yeah.
I mean, unique method, unique perspective, unique ability. But you're now helping financial advisors expand their impact by asking powerful questions through impactful assessments. So it's like you've packaged up, from what I'm
Mm-hmm.
hearing, your unique ability
Yes.
into a, and really unique wisdom for that matter,
Right.
into a unique method, being the passport package. But I want to really dive into something here, which
Okay.
is the power of a powerful question, because that's how this is framed: asking powerful questions through impactful assessments. What, because this is your unique ability. What is a powerful question? What makes a powerful question to begin with in the first place?
For any of us, a powerful question is simply something that is important to someone else's life, right? So there's not certain buzzwords or certain things to bring in. It is asking questions and continuing to ask questions about someone else's future or someone else's life, where they are now and where they want to go in their future. That makes it powerful because it is all about them, not about you and your products and services. And I think for many entrepreneurs, me included, I gained my confidence in the beginning by degrees and by knowing all this stuff but I realized that wasn't as important as the person's future across the table from me. And when I could take a step back, I went from maybe 20 minutes about me in the beginning, your elevator pitch. Number one, I hate the word pitch, but that conversation to 5 minutes at the end. And if this is something that you'd like to work with us on, this is what the situation is. And there was they trusted us, they trusted me because what I was asking questions about was them, not telling them about me.
Mm. You've built a platform around this with the passport package.
Mm-hmm.
What have you seen come from helping other, particularly financial advisors, get even better at asking powerful questions? What has changed for them? Because that's one of the things even Julia shared with me. She's like, you're really good at this podcast thing. And she really brought it to my attention. Like, stop pushing away what the compliments are. And I'm asking because
Yeah.
it's like I'm hearing where you're coming from and I'm connecting and I'm resonating and I feel the energy.
Mm-hmm.
What are you seeing now that you've taken your unique wisdom and have gifted this to others
Mm-hmm.
to ask powerful questions? What has happened for them?
Advisors using their 5-minute assessments that prospects and clients do before they come in to meet with them.
Mm-hmm.
It's opened up the conversation. It's like they're having the conversation before they even get into the room. So when they actually get face to face, whether it be on Zoom or in an actual room, they're already in the question. The 8 questions are about mindsets. And literally, it is about where are you now and where do you want to be in your future. One of the big ones is caring. If something happens to you, JR, does someone know not only where your estate documents are, your wills, but does someone know where your passwords are? Does someone know how to get into your computer? All those little things that caring mindset does. So it brings them in and it gives them action to do. A lot of advisors are finding that prospects are coming in, one's on wellness, like, one of them, the husband was very much involved with his health and the wife was not. And
Right.
it brought a wonderful conversation about what are we going to do at Walkaway if you're not healthy, right? So he's like, I have a prospect walking in about their health and their wellness. I knew they would be a client, right?
Right.
Because the money is in service to their future, and they got that. They got that. And the future of their wellness mindset was critical. So it's increased revenue, it's increased referrals, it's increased multi-generations, older clients sending it to their adult children,
Experience. Experienced in life.
Yeah, experienced in life, older, yeah. Yeah. So that it's not like, hey, you have to talk to my financial advisor. It's like, hey, take this quick 5-minute assessment and talk to my advisor for 15 minutes. And it creates a whole different level of trust about it, right? So it's been wonderful to be a part of it and experience it and have the impact. I think entrepreneurs and financial advisors being entrepreneurs, the waterfall impact that happens, just JR, you know this, it is family, it is friends, it is clients, it's their children, it's their friends' children, it's just such a waterfall impact that it's just lovely to watch and see and be a part of.
You mentioned being a curious kindergartner, or I might be paraphrasing because that's one of the things that I advocate for is and a lot of it comes from reading up on like Socrates and some of the ancient Greeks and like Socrates' wisdom is I know nothing, and so I go in to a conversation really just curious to learn. Like I don't know anything about anything, and it's like every conversation becomes a fresh, clean slate. How can someone develop that capability? Because I think
it is a capability.
Okay, then so that was kind of a hunch, but why do you believe it's a capability, number one? And then number two, how can that capability be developed?
So I think curiosity and asking questions is a capability. It is a habit. And we go back to an Aristotelian quote, we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence then is not an act, but a habit. And
Mm,
so to gain confidence, an entrepreneur might have talked all about themselves. That's a habit, right? So to gain the change or new capability, new habit is when they see themselves doing it, to stop and pause and say, JR, I just went off on a tangent. I apologize. Let me go back to, let's talk about what the real purpose of this is all about. And this is about you. So it is being willing to change and being willing to say, "Ooh, I just messed up, and let's
mm.
start this over again," right? Because a habit is a habit. And whatever, it's now 60 days to change a habit, the supposedly, I don't know. I've been exercising for I don't know how many years, and I know it's a habit, but I still don't like it. So I don't know about whatever the mental thing is. But I do know that if we want to go into the question, for most entrepreneurs, we've got to be willing to change the habit of knowing it all. Aristotle also said, started with a circle. If you know this much, you've got that. The more you know you don't know,
Right.
right? Because you realize how much broader it is. And as you said, bringing in those questions, and maybe it is you have a list of questions before you walk into a meeting. Um, those things are just so important. And as an entrepreneur, whether it is with a client or it's with a team, coming in with questions rather than solutions or answers is so powerful.
Well, for me, questions. There are a couple of things. One, I I'm going to come back to that actually.
Okay.
I want to come back to the point that you just made about habits, and you're talking about 60 days to change a habit. I have thought a lot about this myself, and my second book was titled "Banking on Change" because it was about what does it take to navigate the complexities of change in the age of AI. It's like we talk a lot about like digital transformation and whatever. It's no, it's all human transformation.
Right.
And so when we think about what are habits, well, habits are just the behaviors that we repeat.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then what influences that behavior? More times than not, it's some emotive response that is then more deeply rooted in a thought pattern that we have. That if we want to go even deeper than that, then we got to get into the belief
Mm-hmm.
of why we are thinking the way that we're thinking. If we want to go even deeper into that, well, what's the identity that we have? And when we want to, for example, you exercise, you hate it, but you do it because it's part of your identity.
Yes.
Because if you were only left to your feelings and emotions, you probably wouldn't do it because you hate it.
Mm-hmm.
That's your motive. I hate it, but you feel great after
Yeah.
because you know what's coming on the other side,
Yeah.
which is to use your word, it's joy. But what's the identity then that prevents us from asking questions? Because I think what I'm hearing from you, there's a protection mechanism that I need to show up in a room and think that I have to know everything to get the deal. Well, I could inadvertently be pushing people away. Maybe there's an identity shift that has to happen to change the behavior to then get comfortable being curious and asking questions. Am I off with my own thinking?
No, I
Because I'm
think
doing this.
I think you're I think you're spot on, because I think once again it's all layers, and I
Mm,
think many times in order to build our career and build our businesses, we've got to know because there's so much at risk, right? And
mhm.
that identity becomes I've got to know. And one of the most powerful things that I say to other entrepreneurs to say is, gosh, I have no idea. And I can't tell you when I say that in the beginning, the white faces in the room, what do you mean to say, I have no idea? Right? Because most people want to make something up or they'll promise something that I have no idea. But what I do know is I have a really good team around me that we will
Yes.
get you that answer. It's not, I have no idea and don't hire
That's
us.
it.
It's, I have
Yeah.
no idea and I have an incredible team. And that automatically takes the identity that normally built, the I have to do this, I will get it done, to the we. Like we have a team. And it elevates your team quickly because it's not all about you. It's about we will get it done.
There's something else that I'm thinking about as you're going through that, to go from the I to the we to the team. I think about story, narrative, and archetype, to where perhaps if we struggle to ask questions, it's because we assume that we have to be the hero to save our client, to save our prospect.
That's interesting.
When,
Yeah.
when in reality, another role that we could take, because if we know story and archetype and narrative, there can only be two heroes in a narrative. You can have a hero. Well, you also have the anti-hero. You have the Luke, and then you have the Darth Vader. But there's a third character in that narrative, which is the role of the helpful and the empathetic guide. In the case of Luke, it's Obi-Wan or it's Yoda. And if we show up with that identity, perhaps it's easier to ask questions, because the role of the guide is to guide the hero on the quest.
Yes, on the journey.
So in every question we ask is a quest.
Yes. There you go. Thank you. That was good.
Well, thank you. We're doing this in real time.
That was really good. That's really good. Yeah. And what did Yoda do? Yoda asked questions. Yoda didn't
Correct.
give answers.
Exactly.
Ah, that was good. That was great weaving all that together.
So what can someone who is watching or listening to this conversation and they're connecting and they're resonating, they're like, yeah, if I'm really honest with myself, I'm probably showing up trying to be the hero and save the client, save the prospect, but I don't have to. I can be the Obi-Wan. I can be the Yoda. I can be that helpful and empathetic guide. What would you recommend to them to ask even better questions as an entrepreneur?
I think like I said before, going into the meeting with questions, and not with preconceived notions. And then also when they caught themselves being the all answer person, which is just a habit, is to stop and to go back to being Yoda and go to the questions again.
So do you mind if I challenge you on going in with questions?
You can challenge me all you want. I love it.
Okay. So I have personally found, and I got called out by someone with this a couple of times. Actually, it was my very first time I had a podcast guest, and that's now like June of 2020.
Okay.
And I had a guest coming on, and I had a form, and I sent him I didn't send him the questions. I had questions in the form, but I was giving him the opportunity to answer, and he was very wise.
Okay.
He said, if you send this to every single guest, you will never build the podcast that you want to build. That was one. And I started to understand, and then I started to look at this in other parts of my life. For example, like going into a conversation with a prospect.
Mm-hmm.
If I went in over prepared, knowing exactly what I was going to say, knowing exactly the questions that I was going to ask, I found myself coming out of the present moment. Mm-hmm. Because one of my mentors shared with me, Blair Enns, he said, you can either be present or you can be presenting, but you can't do both at the same time.
Wise.
And so even I think for me, I found that if I came in with a list of questions that I was going to ask, and it's all coming down to one question is typically kind of where It's like it's more of that future focused question, and then working backwards from there, and then just making a commitment to be like water.
I
I got to.
I think that that is very doable when you have the wisdom that you have, JR, and when you have the confidence that you have. In the
Mm,
beginning, I think having some of those questions, so when the silence is so overwhelming and you need to ask another question, that you have it there. I don't think it is that you do it like a script, but I
mm.
do think one of the things with Dan Sullivan from Strategic Coach is, JR, if you and I are meeting here, 5 years from today, what has to happen, right? The R factor question. I can do that in my sleep, and you will be talking to me for an hour, and I will be. But that is, I found for most entrepreneurs and the advisors I was working with, too hard for them to then continue until they learned. Does that
Mm.
make sense?
So it's
So
back to the point of capability that we were talking about before. This is a capability that you can
it's a
learn.
capability to learn. So that's why the quick 5 minute assessment, because I kept trying to teach them to ask one question and then be silent and then let that take them where it goes. But that's very hard to do until you build a level of confidence that you can come on a podcast and not know what the conversation is going to be. Kind of like this podcast, like, hello, right?
Well, that's a great point, because that was the very first thing that you're like, well, what are we going to talk about today? And I was like,
I don't
this is,
know.
I think it's where we're going to go. But to me, this is the magic in the moment. And a lot of times people are like, well, how did you do that?
Yeah.
I go, well, I've got 500 plus episodes of
That's the
doing the same thing
difference.
over
That's
and
the
over again.
difference,
Yeah.
right? You know that you're not going to, and your guests, you're not talking to somebody who's in the business for 1 year, who's trying to build up. So I think that's part of the habit thing with asking questions.
Yeah.
And our assessments ask 8 questions so that the
Huh?
advisor can, or who, they can pivot back and forth. Like, gosh, these are areas that you seem to be very excited about, and these are areas. Tell me more, or tell me about this one, or whatever, so that they have a roadmap. I think in the beginning, the majority of entrepreneurs need a roadmap. And for those really big meetings that we all can do in our sleep, but the preparation part, we talk about being an entrepreneur as an entertainer or as a sports person. Nobody's going on the field, hopefully not, or going on stage without having a preparation done.
Yes.
And
Yes.
sometimes we as entrepreneurs get cocky. And so that's where I would say, yeah, maybe you need to think a little bit about the questions before you walk in. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know. That
No, I no, and I appreciate the back and forth, like the dial, like we're playing a game of tennis here, or
yes.
pickleball, is the cool kids play these days. But
Yes.
as to wrap up, I really appreciate the unique wisdom that you have brought, from your unique perspective and your unique method, framed around a very important topic, which is questions. Because we didn't even get into this, and it might be a conversation for another day, but we're talking about the human experience here, but also this plays well working with AI models, because how you form and articulate a question is going to directly impact the output. Maybe that's a conversation for another day, but
Yeah.
I want to. I always like to wrap up every conversation with one thing that someone who is watching or listening that has gotten this far. First and foremost, thank you for your time and your attention,
Yes.
and sharing that with us today. But second, what is the one thing that they could do next on their journey to bring humanity through the questions that they ask?
Breathe deep and ask questions, and be willing to let it take you where it takes you.
Be like water. Can I build upon that? You
Yes.
mentioned breathe.
Yeah.
I'm going to come back to movies. I forgot what film or what theater it was, but they would always, in the pre-screen, it said "Silence is golden,"
Yeah.
and there was actually a Depeche Mode song, "Enjoy the Silence," I believe.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Enjoy the silence. It's not scary. It's just someone probably sitting there really thinking about the question that you just asked them because they've never been asked the question in that way. And I always say, if you feel stuck, it's because you haven't been asked the right question at the right time in the right way. You're just one question away from your next level up. Colleen, this has been such a great conversation. If someone wants to connect with you, continue the conversation that we've started here today, what is the best way for them to reach out and say hello to you?
Connect with me on LinkedIn, Colleen Bowler, or thepassportpackage.com.
Connect with Colleen, learn with Colleen, grow and level up together with Colleen. Colleen, thanks so much.
So good. So good. Thanks, JR.
Hey, it's JR. Before we wrap up, I have one more question for you. Are you a visionary entrepreneur who wants to elevate your brand and expand your influence to increase your impact? If this is you, you're the reason we're on a mission to amplify the voices of visionary entrepreneurs by unlocking their wisdom, sharing their stories, and publishing their books. So, when you are ready to level up your business and your life, send me a text to 832-240-1922. That's because I want to teach you to amplify your voice so that your mission and message are seen, known, and heard by those who need your help the most.